It's time for PetSylvania with Dr. Bob Esplin. Dr. Bob guides you through the latest veterinary techniques and procedures to keep your pets in the best of health. PetSylvania is brought to you by Elanco, maker of Trifexis and Comfortis. With your ears up and tails wagging, here is Dr. Bob.
Hello, pet lovers. Welcome to another edition of PetSylvania. I'm certainly happy to be here with you. We'll start off the show by saying, we'd love to deal with your questions on air. And so if you would send those questions to requests at WSYLradio.com, I can address them the following week. And it just makes the show just that much more personal. And I really enjoy having the ability to answer your questions. Want to highlight our sponsors. We're here because of their generosity. Esplin Medical. They are the makers of premium, environmentally friendly surgical scrubs. They're like wearing pajamas to work. They're available at Sylvania Vet, 4801 Holland, Sylvania, at Haroon, Toledo Family Pharmacy, and online at www.esplinmedical.com. Elanco, the makers of Trifexis and a variety of other high-quality pharmaceuticals, but right now, Trifexis is the big dog in the pharmaceutical market because it's a 3-in-1 product that protects against internal parasites, heartworm, and fleas in a one pill that's given once monthly, barring the need to control ticks, which we would generally recommend that you use a collar called Scalibor for the tick control. You're not applying anything topically, so that's a nice convenience, and there's an awful lot of clients that are really happy that they don't have to do that. My personal dogs, for whatever reason, don't want to do it. You'd think I was torturing them when I apply the topical medication. Our clients at Sylvania Vet enjoy the best prices in Northwest Ohio on Trifexis, and so you can too, just by being a client. If you buy 6 Trifexis from anybody, any veterinarian, because that's the only place to buy them, get a $10 rebate from the company, and if you buy 12, you get a $25 rebate from the company. So that certainly brings that cost down well below the combination of a pill for heartworm and then a topical for flea and tick control. Hill's, the makers of scientifically formulated super premium diets. They're all made in the USA. They created, their newest food is that they created a food called Ideal Balance. It's for pet owners that want all-natural, grain-free diets. Of all those products that are out there, this is the only product that's made by an ethical company that's doing scientific research, that has a stable formula, and that is using only the highest quality ingredients. So you can learn more about Ideal Balance by going to www.hillsidealbalance.com. There are three different flavors. And then, of course, Sylvania Vet, 4801 Holland, Sylvania, at Haroon, 24/7, 365 pet care destination. There's always a doctor on call for our patients. There's a staff member in the hospital taking care of our patients and answering the phone. That's a pretty darn nice service. We are one of 3 area practices out of the more than 50 in the area that are inspected and certified by the American Animal Hospital Association. We have been AHA certified members since 1978. We are full service. We are well equipped for medical surgical situations. I'll tell you later about a case, if I have time, that we did yesterday. It was pretty fascinating. Plus we have daycare, obedience, grooming, dog and cat boarding, retail, and more. So those are our sponsors. There was a story apparently I heard about this morning. I didn't see the news last night, but apparently on one of the news stations there was a story about a Chihuahua. The owner had given it away for good keeping while she moved into an area that she wasn't allowed to have pets, and was told that this pet had passed away from pneumonia. And lo and behold, 4 years later, Chihuahua is found by the roadside, has a microchip in it, and it turns out that it's her dog. She says it's like it came back from the dead. I was going to talk about microchipping before I heard the story, but that gave it a more current note. Microchipping is a great idea. It's really painless for the animal. It's not expensive, costs less than $40. Microchip your dog or your cat or your bird, and that includes the registration. That includes a full year of their value-added service, which includes brochures to local practices and local animal care facilities throughout the 50-mile radius of of your home. We recommend a product called Home Again. That chip, we've done hundreds of them, and that chip has never migrated, where some other chips have a chip called an Avid chip has a history of migrating, and I found one that was put in by the shoulder blades, and it was down by the left wrist in this animal several years after it had been microchipped. Arthritis is a problem whether we're two-legged or four-legged, and whether we're a dog or we're a cat. You live long enough and you're going to start to have creaky joints. I tell you from a personal experience that if you've got achy joints, it makes you feel older than you are. On these days when it's hot and there's a lot of humidity, or particularly in the cold weather, those creaky joints can really make you uncomfortable. And the same thing is true of our dogs and our cats. In dogs, the majority of the arthritis is in the back end. We're seeing hips and knees, and in cats it's frequent in the elbows. Well, there's not a tremendous amount available for us for cats, but it is something that we definitely need to consult on so we can come up with a treatment plan. But the newest thing for dogs is a product called Tricox. It's kind of a product that fits in the middle of using the really potent non-steroidal anti-inflammatory products. In the human side, we'd call those Celebrex and even aspirin. On the dog side, we talk about Previcox, or we talk about Rimadyl, or a number of others. Tricox does not have the same potency as that, does not have the need for evaluating kidneys and liver like those products do. On the other end of the where we start kind of spectrum is the products that contain chondroitin and glucosamine. Tricox kind of fits in the middle. We don't have to use straight chondroitin glucosamine products. We don't have to go strictly with non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. We have had really good success with the Tricox soft chews, and we've been able to eliminate some of these other products. They come in this soft chew. They're relatively inexpensive. It's a veterinary approved product. It is a homeopathic product. It's not an FDA approved product. Our very early reports on this have been really, really encouraging for the dogs that we've put on it. I've mentioned this before, and we just finished talking about joint supplements, and I think it's important for you to know the joint supplements that are out there that are available to us and available to our pets as well. Not all of them are created equal, and so you can't just go in and buy any given product, because from bottle to bottle, from company to company, there can be a tremendous amount of difference in the efficacy of those products. And part of the reason why that's the case is that the nutraceutical industry is not in any way regulated or supervised by an overseeing organization. So we don't have the USDA or the FDA looking over their shoulders, making sure that they prove efficacy, making sure that that every bottle has the same amount of product in every pill that the bottle says that's in there. Several years ago, there was a study done where this independent lab went out and they picked up 32 bottles of chondroitin glucosamine, all containing, according to the label, the same strength of these products, pulled them off of the shelves at drugstores and grocery stores and the Vitamin Center and GNC and wherever else they might be sold, and studied them only for content. And what they found is that out of the 32 that were actually tested, only 7 actually had in the tablets the amount of product that said what was there. Some had none. And so how are you going to know that? And so you need to stick with companies that are truly ethical. And we recommend a company on the dog side that makes two products called Dasequin and Cosequin. That's the Nutramax company. And then they make a product on the human side as well. So I would have no hesitancy to tell you if you wanted to take chondroitin glucosamine, that'd be a good place to go. It's time to take a break, and we'll be back. We have a question to head off the second session here, and the question is it a good idea to shave long-haired dogs in the summer? I think that question is not easily answered, to be honest with you. In part, I generally say I don't think it does much good, because dogs don't have sweat glands, they don't sweat the way we do, hence exposing them to the sunlight and having it hit their skin more directly. And a shorter-haired dog, they're actually going to get hotter. The one advantage that you do have in the summer is your dog may swim, or your dog may go in the pool, or you may hose it down if it gets real warm. It's going to be a lot easier to keep it clean. It's going to be easier to dry it off. And so, if you're going to shave it just for, for grooming purposes, I'm okay with that, but don't expect it to really help the dog be more cool. It actually might make it more difficult. It certainly will be easier to find ticks if you live in a tick area rather than them getting buried in that long hair. You won't have any mats to mess around with, and that's a huge advantage. So there are pluses and minuses to everything, but do that procedure, have the groomer do that procedure for the right reason. Recently, I had a client contact me and said that these lucky dogs are she, her husband, and the dog are to Alaska for a 6-week backcountry camping adventure. And they're going to be out of contact. They got a satellite phone because there isn't any cell service up there, and that means there isn't a drugstore nearby, and that means there isn't a doctor nearby. They want to be fairly self-sufficient. Part of the way they're gonna camp fishing village, and they've pre-sent some supplies so that they can reload. This is a real adventurous family, and the key is the dog's going along. They wanted to know if I could put together a first aid kit. I thought, boy, that's a really great idea, and so I put together a first aid kit for them. And every first aid kit that we put together is a little bit different. We take care of a number of drug dogs, the Highway Patrol, the Bureau of Criminal Investigation through the Attorney General's office, soon the Sylvania Township Police, and the Toledo Police drug dogs are all going to be patients of ours, and we're going to be putting together a first aid kit for them. And a lot of what's in there is designed if they have an encounter with some of the drugs that they shouldn't have when they hit on it. If they get exposed, there needs to be some antidote right away, or if they get wounded because they're going in danger's way, a Kevlar vest that the Sylvania Township dog will weigh. And as we start working with the Toledo dogs, we're going to see what we can do about getting Kevlar vests for all of them as well, because they are a licensed officer of the law and they play a valuable service. They find millions of dollars of illegal products. So if you're going to travel and you're going to go into the backwoods, if you're a hunter and you go out and you got your dog with you, have us put together an activity appropriate first aid kit. It could be really beneficial for you and for your dog. Over the spring break and Easter, we saw a significant number of dogs came in from an area kennel. The animals had been kenneled there while the families were away. Unfortunately, it wasn't us with our boarding facility, and I'll tell you why it probably wasn't us in a minute. All these dogs, came in with the signs of what is known as kennel cough, and kennel cough. In this case, that would be an appropriate name because it did come from the kennel. But kennel cough, or more appropriately, canine cough, gets transmitted in a variety of ways. There are about seven organisms that can cause canine cough, and the most common are Bordetella and parainfluenza, and most veterinarians vaccinate routinely against those. Most boarding kennels require those vaccines for boarding as well. In this situation, these dogs all had a bacteria-like infection called mycoplasma. Well, mycoplasma thrives in an environment where there's poor ventilation, poor hygiene, poor cleansing of the dishes. This kennel in the area has those problems. So as we consulted on this with Cornell, that was the point that they really made, that if you're going to board, you need to have really great ventilation at the very least and good hygiene. At Sylvania Vet, when we board, the air in our kennel is changed 12 times an hour. It's literally fresh all the time. It goes through a HEPA filter and a charcoal filter, so we take care of the air. It's extremely well ventilated. It's not too humid. It's very comfortable. There's almost no odor. Then the dishes, they're fed twice a day, so they're washed twice a day. Kennels are cleaned twice a day. The humidity is controlled. It's not a hot, steamy, humid place where we're keeping these dogs. That cuts down on the chances of that kind of transmission. Those are some questions that you should ask when you're talking about boarding your dog. I had a question from an area rescue. We treated one of their dogs for parvovirus. Parvovirus is a devastating virus. It doesn't cure easily. It has a significant degree of of mortality. So not every dog that we treat are we successful in returning to their home or to the rescue. We got this dog better, and it took about 10 days, but the dog is a lot better. And this was last Saturday, and they wanted to know, can we take the dog to an adoption event this weekend? Well, the answer to that is no. It can take a month or more before the dog stops shedding this virus through its bowel movements, and we don't want to take that risk exposing other animals, because it's easy for maybe somebody coming to look at an adopted animal to get some fecal material on their hands or their clothes or their shoes and carry it home. And there's almost nothing except bleach and some really potent disinfectants that'll kill parvovirus. It will live in the environment for a long time. So you need a month after a dog recovers from parvo before we can be relatively confident that everything is going to be okay. Parvo drives our vaccines protocol. That's why we don't want to complete our vaccine series in puppies before 16 weeks of age. That's the point when 99.9% of the dogs that have been vaccinated are going to have an immunity that will enable them to withstand an exposure. We recently had a question about cost of dental care. The reality is that if you have your dog's teeth cleaned, it costs more than if you go to your dentist and have your teeth cleaned. In great part, it's because our dental work requires full general anesthesia. Now we've got to take the precautions necessary to make that as safe as possible, because we, of course, want to have you be able to take your pet home. That adds a tremendous amount of expense. Dogs actually have more teeth, so a dental cleaning in a dog, if it's done well and done right, takes longer. In our case, when we put a dog or a cat under anesthesia, we measure all of the gum pockets. Those are called periodontal pockets. 4 parts of the teeth, front, inside, outside, and back. We're measuring those pockets. And then after we're done and we've done all our cleaning, we measure them again. That stuff all takes time. That's how there can be a difference in cost between practices. We always use IV fluids. It's essential that you use an endotracheal tube and gas anesthesia. It cannot be done any other way safely for your animal. We meet the dental standards of the American Animal Hospital Association, which shouldn't surprise you, are the highest in the country, and that adds some expense for us as well, but it adds safety and quality of care, which is really the most important thing from our perspective. Dental x-rays, if they need to be done to find hidden pathology, it can add expense. And then if we need extractions, those obviously cost money, and we always take x-rays before and after. We want to make sure we have left the tip of a root or something up in the ear. And then the gums are sewed. Believe it or not, I saw a dog the other day that it had dental work done at another practice. Its mouth was just incredibly sore, and they had a number of extractions. So sure, it should be sore, but none of the gums were sewn. It looked like raw meat in there. That's not a good thing. Time to take a break, and we'll come back and finish up. I want to remind you that Thursday, June 20th, we are having a seminar on how to read a pet food bag and know what all those numbers and names and everything on a bag means and what should be on there for you, so you can make intelligent decisions when it comes to choosing a pet food for you. We're also going to be talking about 6 myths as it relates to feeding and food ingredients. And then there's going to be an introductory presentation on metabolic diet, which is a new game changer from Hills concerning weight loss. A truly amazing product. We put a dog on metabolic diet this week that has to lose 6% of its body weight. This dog looked like an ottoman with legs. It's got an injured cruciate ligament, and we can't begin to think about doing surgery on this cruciate ligament when this dog is so obese. It gives the new definition to the name morbidly obese, that's for sure, but we have to get this weight off. So we are hoping that by 6 months from now, the metabolic diet will get us down to a manageable place where we can go ahead and do that knee surgery and make that dog more comfortable. Call the office, 419 885-4421, and just let them know you're coming. There's going to be door prizes for everybody, and then we're going to have a raffle, and we're going to give away a really cool gift to one lucky attendee. I want to thank Elanco, makers of Trifexis. Remember, there's a $25 rebate if you buy 12. That's really your best buy. It's a significant reduction for you in the cost of the product. Hill's, the maker of scientifically formulated high-quality diets, both in the Science Diet line and in the Prescription Diet line, and of course Ideal Balance. Esplin Medical, makers of high-quality bamboo scrubs. My producer just told me he saw a guy in Dickey scrubs in a store, and he says, "Hey, what do you think about those scrubs? Are they comfortable?" And the answer was, "No, they're cheap, but they are terribly uncomfortable." And so hopefully we've got a convert to Esplin Medical scrubs, because these are like wearing pajamas to work. You will be comfortable because they're 80% all natural fiber. They will breathe. They are made 80% bamboo, 25% cotton, and 20% poly. That enables us naturally antimicrobial. They dry faster. They wash in less soap and water and cool water. So everything about that is really good. The Toledo City paper in the July 6th, if you haven't seen that, there were a bunch of professionals highlighted, and lo and behold, there I was. And so I was pretty much honored to be able to be highlighted in area professionals in the Toledo City paper. Of course, finally, our sponsor, Sylvania Vet, my office. The good news is I'm back to work and on a limited schedule, but gradually increasing the number of hours per week and the number of procedures that I can do. We just had our new doctor, Dr. John McCarty, started this week. We're thrilled to have him, and again, welcome, John. Got so much enthusiasm. You're going to love him when you get a chance to meet him. It's important that if you want all the services, including our after-hours service and our availability to you for emergency care at regular fees, not inflated emergency clinic fees, that you become a client of Sylvania Vet. That's really easy to do. Just call and make an appointment. 419-885-4421. Check us out at TV13 Get Connected. So you go to www.13abc, click on Get Connected. Then there's a great 3-minute video that talks about us. And then our website, www.sylvaniavet.com. With all that said, there's only one greatest pet, and it lives in your home.
You have been listening to PetSylvania with Dr. Bob Esplin on WSYLradio.com. PetSylvania is brought to you by Elanco, maker of Trifexis and Comfortis. Tune in every Saturday at 10 a.m. as Dr. Bob explains the latest in veterinary care and answers your questions. You can email your pet questions to requests@WSYLradio.com, and Dr. Bob will answer them on a future show.